God, that was awesome. Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're going to be taking a look at ATEEZ's Pirate King dance practice. I do know that Treasure was released really similarly around this time because this was their debut. And I know a lot of people believe that Pirate King is more of that official debut. So I'm definitely excited to take a look. Once again, I think Treasure was the only other ATEEZ group track I have reviewed and analyzed. All the other things affiliated with ATEEZ are just their pre-debut performances and San's solo to Imagine Dragons. So this is going to be really, really cool to kind of see what this one's all about. So let's go ahead and take a watch. I love this track. Wow. About to be a dance break? Yeah. This is a pretty long track for this type of choreo. God, that was awesome. What the crap, man. That was really good. It makes total sense why most of the fans are like, nah, the real debut is Pirate King. Sheesh. Okay. Wow. I'm gonna be very real. Probably about like at least half of this choreo really is, what is it? This is probably like, if you eliminate all entertainment agency influences, this is probably one of the top 10 most difficult debut choreographies I think I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of debut choreographies that I can attest to. This right here is mad difficult. It's a 3-minute and 32-second routine of tension, popping technique, and I think Ria Hata was a part of this in some way. Her stuff is so tiring because of the physical demand of how you're supposed to hold and control your torso when you do a lot of, like, you saw some vibration technique in there. Their formation shifts were great. I think there was only one part where I felt like we were missing some dynamics of levels. But this is probably one of the top 10, excluding entertainment influence, like the agency influence, top 10 best debuts on a choreographic scale in isolation to a dance practice. This is amazing because it was very, very clean too. And I wasn't expecting this level of synchronicity in comparison to everything I've already seen from them so far. And so let's just take a dive, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look. I may have to 0.75 it. I love that right there, having one of them hit down and everybody branches away, having this legato moment, more like wind is what it feels like. Pirate King, like he jiu kwang. That's kind of cool. I bet you they had, like, what, pirate outfits? I mean, that would make a lot of sense for this. I may watch that just for the entertainment or understanding. I don't know, but this was a really cool moment of having them kind of branch down. Boom, boom, and back down. Great choice. All coming down too. Honestly, I'm very shocked that this is an even numbered group. That this was an active choice that was made. That they debuted as an even number. Because that's so different than most groups getting debuted. For the reasons I say almost every single time I do these. It's hard to create some symmetry whenever you have an even numbered group. I reacted to Baby Monster recently at the time of this recording, and that was a big note I was saying. They were originally supposed to debut as 7. They ended up debuting as 6. Who knows if we're going to have a 7? I don't know. I'm not a part of the fandom, or I don't really keep up in that way. So people let me know as I encounter it, but I feel like I don't think that they were supposed to debut as an odd number, because I think all up until this point it hasn't. I've just seen them as an even number. So I'm just very impressed at the fact that not once was I like, ooh, someone's coming up. Maybe I'll notice it in this analysis, but love the tension there of having all of them with their head down, and you really see the tension or the pull of that reverb from their hair. I think it was a great choice that most of them wore their hair down, because you can really appreciate the technique more because you can see the reverberation coming from their hair. Dropping it down, that all the way through, having it, setting it up in your first formation. Now, here we go. Yeah. So we are having somebody that is directly behind. So because honestly, I think it's because they have more numbers, it's a little bit easier to kind of be forgiving for that, because naturally you're going to have people covered up the more people you have, because they're debuting with 8. Now, if they're debuting with 6, then, normally with 5, they take up this full range, but with 6, normally you can make up a full V, and it's harder to have depth within your Vs. So I think that's where I'm coming from here, is because they're doing the same thing as what I've seen from Baby Monster with 6, but because they have 2 more people, it just feels fuller, and there's more people, so naturally we're gonna think there's gonna be more sacrifice for visualization on certain members. Really great here though, seeing the pull through, boom, boom, and the air time, nice tension in the hips, bringing it up. And then they go boom, boom, really, really intense in the back. Low key, I freaking like this track a lot. The track is really cool. And I may add it to my Spotify, not gonna lie. First time I've ever heard it. It sounds so cool. It really does. And you know what? I honestly have this thought as well. Whenever I really, really like a song, part of me should just include a music video reaction to it. I feel like that would just be really fun. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Maybe I'll add one to the end of this one. We'll just see based on time. But going through here, really nice to see the energy of them all moving around. Really great transitions. They lowered their level so you can see your feature. Really nice call there. That little, notice that all their hair, you could tell that all of them matched the certain level of energy all the way through. And they bring it up. This right here, that reminded me a lot of real, like, OG era BTS is this mess right here, because they used to pull their shirts up and do like hip thrusts and stuff, and it's just da 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 da. No Dream. This is what that reads to me. Not the track, but that move right there reminded me of that. Not in a they took it. Nah, it was just it gave off that energy, which I really liked, because that was something impactful about BTS too, because they didn't come from a big label at that time. That was nice having this boom here, and they go all do 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 do. It was just an interesting texture choice that they're choosing to do here as they're switching their weight on that. The boom do do. Look at the head ISO. Do you see that? I think it's like they're doing really interesting choices that I normally don't see in a group or that does K-pop. Like, I'm not used to seeing people freaking nail it on their head ISOs. Do I think that everyone's doing the same thing? I don't know. Let's look. So we're hitting it down. Boom. Yeah. So all of them are hitting with so they're moving their chest, but they're isolating it, so you see that the head is doing a counterweight on it, so it gives that really interesting head ISO. I freaking love that. Boom. Goodness gracious. A lot of how they're hitting their music is like how, and this is like backup dancers would hit it like this, but even then a lot of choreography don't go this hard, you know? So it's really cool to see how this is very difficult syncopation that they're hitting while trying to do a feature, but also knowing that they have to hold it down for another 3 minutes. Good God, you know? Yeah, the boom, da da da. They still have to maintain tension before they switch through, so they utilize that back a lot more. Really great feature there, right there. And they're also making these little surprise syncopated movements, you know, as they go through, da da da. You know, it's just very spastic but very controlled, and it makes it very captivating. Bring it down, up, and the song just builds. Boom. Yeah, da 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 da. I'm going to say something that could come across as like a hot topic, but I want to be real, because I'd recently seen Stray Kids Megaverse. These guys right here, 2018, this type of track has this boom. It does give off similarities to Megaverse, not in like a plagiarism way at all, so don't, you know, but it gives off like, I was like when you have a track that has like boom and this kind of bass in it, you expect choreo like this. But in Megaverse, it really felt like they dropped the ball and made it look very muted. And I already did a whole analysis on that. And I hadn't seen another performance of it where they were like going for it. And I do know that was like a concert run through. So I understand the circumstances of all that. I think for me, I would have, if they went like this, that would have made so much more sense, and it probably would have been one of my favorite things I would have ever seen from Stray Kids, because they had numbers. This has more energy than the entire Megaverse stage did in their whole thing, and they had 5 times more people on that stage. You know what I mean? And like 3 to 5, and only 8 of them from 2018 rookies carrying an energy like this over, like, guys, like, that's, I mean, I know what I'm saying is very it could be potentially controversial, and once again, I'm very open-minded, and I'm not saying that Stray Kids doesn't bring energy. I'm saying for that very specific Megaverse, where it was a mega crew type of aesthetic with the sheer number of people they had on that stage, they're holding this song down way more efficiently and effectively than a lot of what I was noticing from Megaverse from the backup dancers. So that's very impressive, that I really want to note here. Very impressed with this, and this is such a jump, being very real, such a jump from their pre-debut performances. This makes me so happy to see how well their movement quality vibes with tracks like this, or their own music. It really feels like they're invested in it so much more, and I'm really a fan of that. I think that's awesome. Look, they go boom. All of their reverbs are 110%, and you know exactly what they're hitting. Great usage and reveal of your feature. From here, they had a nice interruption before they kept going. There's little things like that are happening with this. That is so cool. Bleeding it through. It was nice that we had it start from this in and bleed it up, and he contributed, still being my feature because of how he chose to respond to this dynamic taking place. That was cool too. Level still being used. That pull, the stoicness has a sense of not cognitive I mean, it is low-key cognitive dissonance. Very similar to XG whenever they had those violins that just kept going and going and going and building. Right there. Going from something very spastic into something very stoic is so counterintuitive to what we're used to seeing. We're normally used to seeing something spastic and then slowly like pan out, or something stoic maintain that stoicness. We're not used to seeing them together, and that's why those types of things, because they're very difficult, they're completely separate pockets of energy. And that's what I really like about this is this is just filled with it. I love that. Da, 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 da. Really nice having that, you know, introduction of having a new build out from that formation was cool. That right there, da 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 da. Loki gives a little bit of a Squid Gamey kind of concern, you know. That, let me see something here. Turn on my volume. I'm going to have to 0.75 it. It's the only way I'm going to be able to get through and get all these details, which is impressive. He runs through, comes up. Oh. Ooh, they use a vibration. And they went from the legs. And they traveled it up. Look at that crump posture. With the jabs. With the head. Bringing it up. Boom. Now this would be something I would make a note of. Some people are opening and closing the hand, and some are keeping it closed. That would be my note. My overall note for that is make sure we're very clear, because this looks different than this does, right? Personally, either would work. That just needs to be clarified. Because my front, sometimes he has it closed-handed, some have it more wide. That also makes a difference. So that's just a little note. And then also my feature in the front, his arm is not quite at the same range. That affects the cleanliness of that section too. Yeah, that boom. That was a cool moment, having them hit with the chest and then accent again with the head. That was nice. I noticed he did look around a little bit there, so that's just more of a they're just making sure they're in line, because they're not technically centered right here. I wonder if they had to factor that in too. Yeah, yeah, that boom, yeah, boom, da 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 da. Yeah, cool. That was a really great choreo. Honestly, whenever I watched the first course and then I actually thought through my thoughts of the first course when I watched the second one, this would be a really difficult challenge. Like, they would have to really water this down to make it a challenge on socials. Now, I know at this time that wasn't really like a huge thing like it is now. Like, now it's kind of an expectation with your tracks, and that's why choreography has shifted. A lot of it has shifted away from this kind of aesthetic, especially in the course. Most of the time, the course is going to be more simple because you want it replicable for your public, because you're going to become more viral, you're making more money, right? So I'm very appreciative that we've maintained complexity, like the integrity of the complexity in how they built it, and they kept it there. You know, it is digestible, but it takes you a second to digest it. That's the kind of choreo I like. It makes you think, you know, very captivating. I love that too. Like, this is a nice little groove. I'm also a fan of the fact this is going to age very, very well. It's already aging great. You know, this was like 2018, I think, when this came out. And this is 2023 that I'm recording this. So it's definitely a huge A+ for me, of just being able to see that this is so captivating and caught me so off guard in 2023. And I'm saying right now in 2023, about 5 years later, this is probably one of the best debuts on a choreographic side we will probably see in the K-pop realm, at least of this generation, that's for sure. And I've seen a lot of debuts, like I've said. This is mad impressive. On the synchronicity side, that was a great energy. That was cool. That formation shift, I love that turn in the drop. Now demonstrating a completely different formation, but levels are still utilized. Really great way to reveal your new feature. I will say some of them did a triple, that boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so I noticed it hit that boom, boom. I would say one of them just went a little more extroverted than everybody else. So my note would be either they all need to match the energy of my front person, or he needs to back off just a little bit, or not use that, or have his range of his upper body be so drastic. At least kind of like have a reverb versus rebound, because rebound is a lot louder in movement than a reverb, where it goes from big to small. So that was just a little discrepancy there, but because he's center, it's not quite as big of an issue. Bring it through, boom, and that up. Very impressive, the fact that he has holes in his jeans and he still has to slide on his knee. Impressive. You know, and having everybody slide over. Everybody has to make a different choice in how they slide. Others who are standing can probably use more of a gliding fundamental to get over. I don't think that's what they had to do. They ran around, boom, boom. No, all they did was they took right now, they took their left leg and they slid it in. Those who are facing the back, boom, up. They just slid in that right, and that really created the visual. They had their weight on both. They slid it in, so now it was catered more towards the left side. And then they popped up. Everybody else had to slide their body over. That was super cool. And then they boom, boom, really clean on that back end by making that choice versus having them glide and glide out. Really cool choreographic choice. Right there, boom, boom. Really nice that they swung it around, so we have some structure behind it. He's having that choice to throw it. They all drop. Really nice transition shift. He's having his moment. Do-do-do. Now that was fun having that, all of them kind of doing the same thing, but still a little bit different. Really nice seeing that, and then everybody bleeding over into more unison choreography, but mirrored. Him having his moment in the front, really fun. Love that, boom, really fun, full of energy. Look at that. They got that rookie energy for sure. That was nice, like you see, like even in his overhead that he chose to hit there, really nice. It was fully committed. They're very committed. All of them are. And so far up until this point, there hasn't been a time where I was like, ooh, somebody's lagging. It's been similar critiques that I was giving 17, which is really good because you want to have a sense of individuality, which is what we see, which is what you guys have said and presented. This is phenomenal in regards to just how they're projecting their energy in a video. I cannot imagine seeing this live. You know, I think it reads very differently. Video reads different than in person. Very impressive, the fact that from where I started with them, because remember, I've only seen, I've seen all the pre-debut stuff, and I had many things to say about those videos there, but seeing this is really, really nice. It is. And it makes me, honestly, this brings a sense of motivation and inspiration to me that I always hope for when I do marathons or whenever I react to groups, that I want to feel empowered in some way, or I want to feel inspired. And I really feel like they're going to bring some of that for me. And I'm so looking forward to that. But this energy is so nice as they go through and through, having the moment going forward. That right there, do-do-do-do-do. I will say though, even though I just made the note, there's not really many people that are sticking out in comparison to what I was used to seeing in the pre-debut. But when you look at what they're wearing, this can play a role in how full someone's movement looks. Notice how many layers he has on. He has a hoodie, but he also has like a puffer jacket on. You know, I have like my airbag vest on today. But he only has, even though the colors are similar, he has more of like a silky kind of button-up. Right? Those are going to carry different energies, or the fabrics are going to respond differently to the techniques in comparison to if everybody was wearing the same thing. That's the benefit of everybody wearing the same thing, is it's going to look cleaner because even your costuming is clean, right? But here everyone's wearing something different, even though they're all kind of, I appreciate the fact that everybody's wearing something slightly different, because you end up with other issues by making something overly clean, like fashion. But notice though that how they were hitting some of their postures in their pockets. Notice that one of them feels a little bit more subdued compared to the other. He has a naturally more full appearance because of the bulkiness of his outfit, but here he feels a little bit more not subdued, but his feels like his range looks more applicable to what he's wearing. Has a more laid back approach, because of honestly what you're wearing can psychologically change how we view a performance. That is 100% true. Having that energy, building it up, really great transition. I love that, boom, really showcasing, I am here, here is my formation and my feature. I love the fact that he touched a couple of his members, of his teammates, as they were moving through. It really felt like we were connected to each other, and I'm always a fan of that. I love when features are featured, that we still aren't, that we're not disconnected, you know, that there's some sense of interaction, whether it's through puppeting, through triggering, or through physical contact. I'm always a fan of that, and I really like that. Really fun. Boom, I love that. Like, it's very mischievous. It really builds that kind of energy. And the song and the track itself brings and builds a sense of mischievousness and kind of flipping it on its head, maybe like that kind of sense. And I just popped my neck while doing that, but everybody's doing a great job. Da 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 da. Yeah. Stepping back. and everybody bleeding up. Some of them chose to go up a little bit higher. If all of them are supposed to do a very similar dynamic, that would be my one note, is some of the timing was a little off there. Bleeding it through, great way to showcase their feature. I will say my big note that I'm hoping to see is a development of how they choose to feature their features. Right now we're seeing a lot of reveals of the feature. Just like with 17, I said they do a lot of curtain reveals. And I know that maybe this may just be a fingerprint that they do. It's something that they may have to do because they have 8 people. And this is one of the most cleanest ways to maintain symmetry while also showcasing someone. It's just it's nice, it's tasteful, it works. That would just be my one note that I'm going to be looking at potentially, or I may say this in the same way in another video in the future. I would like to see this not be the main way of revealing. I want there to be multiple formations so it feels more like a toss-up. You know, I think that would add and contribute to the captivation, I think, because it'll make me think, what's going to happen next? Are they going to do this kind of reveal, or are they going to do something different? Like, if they always do something different, it makes me look forward to something new, and I feel like I learn something from watching them. But I love how he peels up. Everybody's dripping down, and I love that energy, that pull, that opposition. Really great way to maintain your feature. Now, that was a great choice. I loved that, and I know that that middle reveal was tailoring to that first verse. But seeing it, instead of going from here and traveling it down, you still have your feature in the center, but they're starting over here and traveling it this way, which I very much like. Yes. Yes, it just feels like a straight up scream. I love it. Going forward, very much, not spastic, but like not in full control how he was carrying that, which helps carry the tone of what vibe they're giving off here. Because I'm not fluent in Korean. I do know some Korean. I can pronounce it, you know, but I don't know enough context or wordplay to appreciate it like I can with English music. But I can pick up on tone, and choreography does a good job of showcasing a story. So that I know. I love this here. Resetting it out. That right there was nice, just like what we saw. Now, this was an interesting choice that they made, because instead of having everybody do it, they have 2 people with their arms out. So that was nice. My recommendation is to have him go a little bit lower so we can really see that back group more clearly. Even though they're in motion, that's still something you would want to factor in. I like the throws, though. That was much better. Da-da-da-da, boom, right here. Back into the... just like what we saw from the first one. This is one note I want to make from my front guy. I want you to notice... This is where my dance teacher in a studio comes out, because I have trained and I'm certified to teach acro. I've also taught ballet, jazz, most styles in my heyday. I'm just have the privilege now of being able to teach more specialized classes, which is fun for me, but this never goes away because I still teach acro. Look at the sickling of his feet. So if you notice where his weight is, a lot of times whenever you go up on releve, that's what we call this, is to rise. You want to have your weight where the big toe and the index toe are, about right over here. You want to avoid placing weight over here, which is what you see. And the reason why we can see that is because of his ankle alignment. His ankle alignment is teetering more towards the outside. And that shows that we're placing weight more on that pinky toe or ring toe. And it's causing weight there, causing a sickle. That's not going to be as strong of a balance, and you're going to be staggering or trying to maintain your balance a lot more. It's a lot more work. So we always train dancers to really try to fight to have your weight on the ball of the foot by the big toe and the index toe, because that's where you're going to be most stable. So that will be my overall note that I would give all of them. You would be surprised at how many people don't know that. And for me, the reason why I know it is because I took ballet and I took extra education. I gave people money to tell me information on how to be a better teacher in those styles. That's something that gets talked about a lot in teacher trainings on other styles, is where you place your weight. Because sometimes in the studio, or just when you learn dance, a lot of times people don't think through where specifically your weight goes. A lot of times we think, okay, put your weight near the front, and then we naturally troubleshoot what's going to be most stable for us. But if you want the most effective position or place where it's safest and it looks the nicest, big toe, index toe, ball of the foot. That's for just anybody in general. That even helps with squats. It helps with anything on a fitness side. Place your weight there. You're going to be way more balanced. So that's my overall note. I hope that their ankle strength is maintained and strong through their whole thing. Like that, though, boom with the throw. Having the energy there. I liked how they started with the group of 3 and then branched it out to everybody else. That was a really cool choice to bring everybody back in. That right there, that was cool. That right there, I really feel like my dancer in the middle, it looks like he cut off that movement just a little bit. I know it was supposed to be side to side, up and up. I know that I wouldn't call that a lock-in because it didn't do anything else that would cater to the justification of calling it a lock-in, but I would say the strictness of the angle would cater close to that. You know, here, notice, you know, everybody's doing a good job. Some of them have their hand on the other arm. I would say everybody has it with their left over the right, except for him. He has it right over left. So that would be my note. Everybody make sure that you either have it closed or you have it open, and how far you have it open. Because even wingspan of your fingers, this reads differently than what we see from our center versus tilted over versus completely covered or nice and strong, showcasing the underneath of the second fist. Little details like that really can enhance. I mean, this is very clean, but it can make it even cleaner. And I've said these notes about pretty much every group that's really clean. There's even little notes that you can be even better because we're human. These are guys, you know, like they're real people. They're not robots. That's not AI. So I think it's totally okay for that to be a discrepancy, because it would be really weird if even down to the finger was all in check. Like, I would be genuinely shooketh. I would probably, I don't know. I think I'd have to watch it in 0.5 to like really watch, which is super cool. I like this here. Oh, yeah. That part looks fine. Pull. That was cool. Everybody moving around. You can tell they're tired. Some of them are really breathing. Some of them are trying to keep that stoic position. The goal, of course, would be to keep more of a stoic position, but they're human. You're not going to get that 100% of the way. The more people, more problems, you know? Sliding it in. Love the opposition. I love that he's wearing white, and he's wearing black. Super cool, and I love the one's aiming more downcast. One is more upcast. I love it. Having your front person look front. It's not like a true column, but I think that's okay. It looks really nice. Bleeding it through. Now, my one note here is that I see back here, I see these sides, but it's unclear what's happening between my first couple of people. So that'd be my note. Either my very front guy needs to be much lower, so I see this build out all the way through the top, or enough opposition needs to take place on both sides so I can really see everybody featured on that bleed out, like what we've been seeing from all the other times. Yeah, having that moment was cool. I love how he grabbed him and pulled him in, and that energy was great. Transfer, super nice having that moment pull. Yeah, that was cool with the switch out. And here, it did feel predictable, like, are we about to have a dance break? And the answer is yes. Now, it did look like we were a little off on the actual content. So if you watch, I think it's him. He does something, it's either him or him, does something different than everybody else in that beginning of this dance break. Okay, it is. So if you look, oh, you know what it is? It's him. He's different than everybody else. So if you look here, it's this arm. Arm with a throw. There's a discrepancy happening between those two. So that's an actual choreography clarification that needs to take place. His is in the center, like he's throwing it in. That's supposed to be unison because you can see of the context of the movements before, middle, and after. We've had 3 different discrepancies happen within 2 counts of those moves. So that would just be a clarify where exactly does your energy go there. That was really nice. Of course, now when you notice they all threw their arms, that part was fine, and it was very clear they were supposed to be individuals because everything else was in unison, and they purposefully all made different choices with their arms. So how you can tell the difference between when it's supposed to be individualistic and they're making these choices is the context of what else is going on while that individual movement or moment is happening. Just like in the case of when they're all moving the exact same way and they all accent differently versus everybody's first 4 counts are supposed to look the same in sequence, but it looked like one person's arm, it wasn't so drastically clear and intentional that that move was supposed to stand out. That's another case too, which also shows the importance of your projection and stage presence. So far, that was the only choreographic discrepancy I think we noticed here. Everything else was for synchronicity or clarification of detail's sake, that was there was a difference in who was doing what choreography there. So that would be my note there. That was nice. Having that, building it up. It really feels like we're on a roller coaster almost. And I think that's kind of the point, is they want us to have these waves of energy, and they're building and then they go for it, and you're just captivated at the fact that, oh my gosh, they're popping off, and it's almost oversaturation of energy. And that's a really difficult thing to do, and they're doing a great job of it. Now that right there, notice that they did, that hinge was fine. The swing, da-da-da with the heels. Notice that some of them have their feet up. Some already have them down. It kind of looks like a tic-tac-toe. Swinging through, boom, boom. Some of them are using the chest. Some are just isolating the shoulders and swinging. That does look different. So this dance break, I would say, is the messiest section of the entire thing, which is interesting to me because I think there's other parts in their verse or their build out in that verse going into the chorus that was trickier to do. So I find that so interesting. I love that he's having such a great, he's doing so good vibing into this texture. So much so he's actually sticking out a little bit of he's really extroverted through the movement. So not everybody is, and that's why it doesn't look quite as clean. But I'm excited to see that. That section, sick. That was so cool. That hinge around was cool. Done. This right here, the vibration. Yeah. I'm always a fan of a good vibration, and I was very clear because of his fringe. And what he's wearing really helps emulate that. It was super cool. Now, let's say with everybody, I really noticed it on my left side, but it's their right side. Is everybody supposed to do it? So he took his arms up, and you saw the energy travel in the vibration from the left side over to the right side. That was cool. Blending it down. I love the energy of him kind of hitting here. Kind of feels, you ever know, like at a carnival and things just don't look quite right? It's like, it kind of feels like that, but not in the sense of it just feels like something's off, but not in a bad way. It feels like there's this like strange, mischievous, there's just something mischievous about something that's very, very loud in movement, but it's like mischievous. It feels, like a, not quite, I wouldn't go so far as say freak show, but it's cool, and there's a twist. There's like a twist about it, if that makes sense. I don't quite know how to put my finger on it, but maybe they're emulating like the essence of a Yoho Rebellion. I guess, I don't know. I can't quite pinpoint it down to the degree of why some of the movement quality works, but it works, and I'm definitely a fan of it. And if this is kind of how they're attaching if somebody said that it was their lore, like this is their overall aesthetic that they present, God, I am excited about the rest of their stuff. If this is their debut, pop off, my guys. This is cool. I really like the reveal. Of course, we have our reveals mostly in the center, but notice that everybody is seen. Digging it back, it was like boom, then a boom. It's important that they're choosing how they're accenting with the hands. If you notice, some of them are keeping them more stagnant, some are really flipping them. That would be something to discuss because it looks different. That da-da-da, having them go up. Great usage of levels to finish it out. Up with the hands, it has a sense of vulnerability or lack of control. That was cool. Yeah, but they go down, up, pull everybody up, full energy with everybody in unison. It makes it super full. They throw it. We're getting ready. Right there. Boom. The energy of how they finish was great. It's always impressive when they can finish with the same amount of reverb or tension and execution like what you saw from the beginning to end. But not everybody did, though. A couple of them did. My very front guy did, and my guy over here did. He didn't really do a lot. So we're going to look at it one more time to make sure to see who all did something and who all stayed still. Okay, so some went boom, some went boom. So all of them just chose to hit it a different way. The only one who didn't really actually do a big thing would be my guy right here. But because of how a lot of them carried themselves throughout the whole thing, they didn't look fatigued. I would say you could tell they were breathing heavy, but it didn't look like they're about to give out. I could tell that they were really investing themselves in it. This was freaking sick. And of course I know there's 2 tracks that come out per comeback is what has been told to me, and a lot of times they let their fans vote which one should be their main track. Probably getting 150,000%. I mean, Treasure was dope, very different tone. This completely was a 180 from my expectations going in. I had notes and mental notes of what I was going to be looking for, and they cleaned that mess up real fast in this track. And so now I was able to find new things that I'm curious about, meaning like how they choose to feature their members, as well as some of the syncopation. Are they going to be making similar syncopated choices? And I know a lot of that's at the discretion of the choreographer more so than them themselves, but it is a huge testament to them of the fact that a lot of their range got cleaned up a lot, to where I didn't really catch their movement quality differences until near the tail end with that dance break. They made it a full about 3 minutes, where I didn't really catch that as much, which is night and day from what I've seen before. So this was double thumbs up for me. I love it, and I'm going to be adding this song to my Spotify. I think this was a dope track. This is cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I was helpful in some way. I've been going on an ATEEZ marathon as well as XG during this time, and it's been really great to just get to know their movement quality and their overall aesthetic of what they're drawn to as a group, and seeing how it molds and shifts just from the pre-debuts and how they do other people's choreography to other people's tracks to choreography tailored to them to their tracks. It really does speak different volumes. And at this point in time that I'm recording this, I have not technically gotten to XG's debut yet. I'm still on their move series, so I know I'm gonna be naturally getting to that point with them eventually, and I may have similar sentiments there. I may just be an overall trend. Groups are going to naturally look better doing their own stuff on their own tracks, or choreography tailored to the track. It's just gonna feel more authentic to them. And I think that's one thing with K-pop groups in general, or just groups in general. Those are one key factor that you look for as a spectator, or somebody who's a fan, or somebody who looks at these groups and you look and you're like, do I like it? Do I vibe with it? Do I not? One of those things we naturally have in the back of our head is, how well do they know themselves enough to be able to showcase this? Because that's what's going to really help you in the long run, is what kind of identity do you have? Are you a facade? Are you a copycat of another group? Or are you your own group and you have your own isms that make you captivating with your own characteristics? And so far, I'm really seeing a great vibe from them, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more. If you want to see more K-pop content, you want to see dance content in general, I cover a wide range of it, and hopefully there's something else besides this video that may pique your interest on YouTube. And I also have so much more that is always early release, like this video, on Patreon. As ATEEZ does comebacks on YouTube in the future, I release these old reactions like this one. So there's a good chance this has been out for a couple months before they even released a comeback to where you're seeing it on YouTube. So if you want to join in on the fun and see any more ATEEZ content, and you may not see it on YouTube, it'll be on Patreon. I am Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.